Hi, welcome to Montana State of Minds with me, Montana, a channel where we go over and recap those paperback novels from yesteryear that you would see in like a drugstore or something. You always see them, even to this day. Every drugstore, every little dollar store has these little paperback novels that your grandmama, your auntie, even an uncle might have got. What are the stories in those little suckers? Well, on this channel, we find out. This video, however, I am being a little lazy, I'll admit it, because I'm swamped with holiday cheer and making memories. I'm kind of cheating, and we are going to recap one of my least and most favorite Christmas movies, if that makes sense. And that is Annabelle's Wish. May remember this cute little cow cover. Okay, little cow. Wishes do come true. And you're just like, what is Annabelle's Wish? And this is my least and most favorite movie because it's my least favorite because it makes me sob. It makes me just cry. I just sob watching it. And it's my favorite because I always have brought it up my whole life. Like, you know how you talk about Christmas movies. And I'm like, Annabelle's Wish. Does anyone remember Annabelle's Wish? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Sometimes people will be like, the cow movie. And I'm like, yes, the cow movie. So I am bringing to y'all the story of Annabelle's Wish. Now, it is on Amazon. You can rent it for 99 cents, $1. And it is under 54 minutes, I think. So it is a crisp, quick little movie. I mean, it's honestly just a giant music video for Randy Travis songs. Randy Travis is the star of this movie. He's not Annabelle. But when we get into it, but Randy Travis, his songs are played in the movie, and he is the narrator of this movie. And if you're familiar with Randy Travis, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not, look him up. You've heard his songs. He has a very, very distinct singing voice. Very strong. I would play you a clip, but then I would not get monetized. So look up Randy Travis so you get an ambiance of the narration that is going through this movie. But yeah, it's essentially just a really long Randy Travis music video. Randy Travis is not the only country music artist in this movie. It actually has a lot of stars that millennials and people above us, what is that, Generation X, will know. And we'll get into the cast in a second, but just the musical talents of Alison Krauss is in it. Dolly Parton, of course, Dolly Parton is going to be in Annabelle's Wish. She sings a little ditty. So you've got Dolly Parton, Alison Krauss, Randy Travis singing to this cow movie. This movie, I think Cracker Barrel should buy the rights to this movie. It's probably like $50. And they need to make this their thing. This is such a Cracker Barrel movie. And I know what you're saying. What do you mean? The aesthetic of Cracker Barrel, the vibe of Cracker Barrel is this movie. And to anybody watching this outside of America, I guess, Cracker Barrel is a chain of country home cooking restaurants. You walk in and it's like you're eating in a barn, kind of, not a barn, but like a rustic little house on the prairie kind of thing. And you get like typical Southern foods, you know, pork chops, fried chicken, chicken and dumplings, all that good stuff. Yeah. And like they are famous for they have like a general store in the front of it that has all kinds of old toys and candies and stuff. You know, it's fine. I like a Cracker Barrel. It's not gourmet country cooking by any means, but it's nice when you're traveling. But when I say it's a Cracker Barrel movie, this is a Christmas. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. It's cows. It's farm animals. It's Randy Travis, Alison Krauss, Rue McClanahan's in it. You know, Blanche Devereaux is a horse. Jim Varney, who is most famous Ernest and Slinky Dog in the Toy Story movies, he's in it. You know, it's just a real country. It takes place in Tennessee. It's just a real country little Christmas movie. You could honestly, I want y'all to do this. I want y'all to go to your nearest Cracker Barrel, put it on, because it's going to be done by the time like your food shows up. Like I said, it's under 50 minutes. And you're going to be crying. And the waitress is going to be like, how's the food? And you're like, it's great. I love it. Thank you. And they'll be like, do you want anything for dessert? And you'll be like, yes, please. Can I get that apple pie cobbler? Please. Now, I know what you're asking, Montana. Does Annabelle die in this movie? Because you're saying you're going to cry. Does she die? She does not die. Okay. It's a very sweet movie. Like, these are going to be tears of sweetness. Again, these are tears of Cracker Barrel brownie in a skillet. Sweet little tears. Okay. No one dies necessarily in this movie. I did some research, of course, because it's such a short movie. My recap, I'm like, I'm going to have to tell y'all like literally everything that happens in this movie to make this worth your while. But it is based on a 1976 children's book called Clarabelle the Christmas Cow, I think, or Clarabelle's Wish. I think Clarabelle's Christmas Wish. I should have wrote it down. I'm so sorry. But it is based off of that little children's book. And again, it has the musical stallions of many country artists, most notably Randy Travis, Dolly Parton, and Alison Krauss. It has the vocal talents. Okay. It has a stacked little vocal talent list of, again, Randy Travis. I know I keep saying this. This is Randy Travis's, like, this is his gym, you know. Again, Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's little brother. He is the grandpa in this movie. Rue McClanahan, a.k.a. Blanche Devereaux, plays Scarlett the horse. Cloris Leachman, who has had a career that has spanned over probably 8 decades. So just throw a dart and pick what you know her from. Cloris Leachman is Aunt Agnes in this movie. She is the villain, as well as, again, Jim Varney, who most notably does the Ernest franchise, like Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Saves Halloween. He's also the voice of Slinky Dog. And if you know niche Disney movies, he is the voice of Cookie off of Atlantis, The Lost Empire. And then Annabelle herself is voiced by the voice actress who does Phil and Lil from Rugrats. She does a ton. I'll put her name up here because it's escaping me. I did not write much down for this video. I'm so sorry. But anyway, she does Phil and Lil. She does Phil and Lil's mom. She does a lot. I'll put like a picture of all her characters that she plays so y'all can kind of see, plus her name, you know, but that is Annabelle. Let's get into this cover. I know we do covers and all that stuff, so let's not leave this cover out because it's an iconic movie poster. And I'm not crazy because in my research, this movie was a hit. It was like the top Christmas movie of like 1998. I'm not crazy. This is not a niche movie. It was like one of the most popular movies at Blockbuster for Christmas for 2 years in a row. Another fun fact real quick is that the UK version has a different narrator. Apparently Randy Travis was too much for our UK brethren. They probably just couldn't understand him. And so there's a UK narrator, which I thought was odd because it's like still in English. It's just a different accent. I don't know. But yes, this cover. Okay. So you've got Annabelle is not a Holstein cow. She's not a black and white cow. She's not a beef cow. I would say she is probably a Jersey cow, a little brown cow, if you will. I have 2 Jersey cows. And so she really reminds me of my girls. She looks like a little Jersey cow. She's a chocolatey little brown with like mixed with tan spots. She's got dark brown little tuft of hair on top. She is sitting she's a little calf and she's sitting in the snow kind of like a dog would sit, and she's looking up with a big smile on her cute little face at Santa Claus in the sky. And Santa Claus is going over the moon in the sky, and in the backdrop we have, of course, the little barn. It's like a little country Christmas, and on Annabelle's head are reindeer antlers made of sticks. They are tied to her head because she really wants to be a reindeer, guys. That's her wish. It's a very cute little cover. And I looked up on eBay because I was like, is there Annabelle merch? And there is. You can buy little inflatable antlers. There was cookie cutters. There was a stuffed animal of Annabelle. She kind of looks like a dog. To which I wonder why they didn't go the typical black and white Holstein cow route. Why they went with a brown cow. I don't know. That's like an interesting choice. Maybe because it sticks out against the snow, because I guess a black and white cow might blend in with the snow too much. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud, probably why they chose a brown cow. But yes, and then there was an ornament. I might actually go buy that ornament, because now that I have recapped and rewatched this movie, I now see, did this movie shape my life more than I'm giving it credit to? Because like I was watching this movie and I was like, is this movie about me? Like, what is that Euphoria TikTok sound of like, is this play about us? Let's go to Cracker Barrel, order you something. I like to get fried chicken with the little dumplings as a side, maybe a little mac and cheese as a vegetable. Because in the South, mac and cheese is a vegetable. And let's get into this recap, okay? Bring your tissues. She doesn't die. I would not trick y'all down that road. But it is a moving little movie. For a movie under 50 minutes, they crammed in a lot of emotional, it's sweet. Also, at the end of this recap, I would also like to introduce y'all to my cows if y'all are interested. I'm hoping to go film cow talk after this. We will see if the girls want to behave, if you will, and not knock down my phone on a tripod. We will see. So yeah, stay tuned hopefully for, a bird just ran into the window. Oh, that was so crazy. I watched it happen because I'm looking at my cow right there and then a bird just ran smacked into that window. They flew off. It's okay. I would get up and go help it if it fell on the ground. But yeah, hopefully we can have cow talk after this. All right. Annabelle's Wish, narrated by Sir Randy Travis.
Annabelle's Wish, narrated by and music sung by Randy Travis.
It was a night that was tailor-made for wishes.
It's the tale of a very special friendship between a boy named Billy and a calf named Annabelle. Based on the farm legend that Santa Claus gives all animals a voice to speak for one day.
Let the talking begin.
Good morning, barnyard!
It's a special gift no human is allowed to know.
Bless you.
Oh, man, the calf blew it.
Annabelle's Wish is the story of a calf with reindeer dreams.
I want to fly, too.
You don't even have, the equipment, the wings and stuff.
Come to Aunt Agnes.
It's all about the true spirit of Christmas and the magic of the season. Annabelle's Wish.
We open to, it is Christmas Eve, and a mama cow has given birth. Given birth to an adorable little baby calf. And Santa comes down because on Christmas Eve, Santa gives a gift to the animals. And that is the gift of speech for a day. They get to talk. But they can't tell anybody. They can't talk to people because then Santa will, that's kind of rude. But then I'm kind of like, well, animals talk to each other already. Why would they need to talk and then not talk to people? I don't know. It's a Christmas movie for kids, Montana. But I am going to bring up some plot holes. But he gives them the gift of speech. And when he sees little baby calf on the ground, he looks at his nice list and he goes, oh, Annabelle, right on time. So Santa names Annabelle. And she wobbles to him, her first steps. And he puts a big red bow around her. And he says, you are as pretty as a present. And she's just a big old smile. And he gives them the gift of speech, and he talks to Rue McClanahan as a horse, and her name is Scarlet. And of course, being Blanche Devereaux, he's like, how are you doing, Scarlet? And she's like, oh, I'm not as young as I used to be, Santa, but I still got it, She has 3 lines in the whole movie. They honestly probably just could have clipped from Golden Girls and gave her $500. But Annabelle takes notice to Santa's reindeer, and she's a little baby, and she has her little baby voice, and she's like, "What are those cows?" And he's like, "Those aren't cows, you silly little baby. Those are reindeer, and they help me fly." And she is just enamored with these reindeer, and they fly, and she's like, "Oh, I want to fly." And he's like, "Oh, Annabelle, you're a cow. You can't fly." And her mama does the best she can of, just like, "Maybe one day you can fly, Annabelle. You've been alive for probably 20 minutes. Big dreams already." So we leave the barnyard and we go to Grandpa in his old jalopy truck, and he's got a little basset hound dog, of which I have a basset hound dog. Again, I'm wondering if this movie influenced my lifestyle right now. But he has his little basset hound dog called Ears. And in the back of the truck, because this is the South, and we just throw kids in the back of the truck in the bed, is Emily and Billy. Now, Billy is Grandpa's grandson. They are related. Emily is just Billy's friend. But they look just like siblings. They look like on the Magic School Bus, Arnold and his bitch ass, what was it, his like cousin or his sister? They look like that. Like they're two redheads with blue eyes, but they're friends, to which is very rare. Like to find two redheaded children in the same small town of Tennessee and they're not related. Weird. I don't know why they did that. Like, why didn't they just give her a different hair color? It's not a like super detailed cartoon. They could have just put her hair blonde or brown. But anyways, they look like siblings, but they're not. They're best friends. And of course, we must depict that Grandpa is not very wealthy. This truck is very old and it kind of stalls, and he's working on it and trying to get it to start. Meanwhile, two bullies show up and they say the rudest, meanest things to Billy because Billy is mute. We will learn why he is mute, but right now we learn Billy can't talk. And those bullies, they go up to him and they go, "Hey, Billy, why don't you sing a Silent Night?" To which I was like, oh my God, that is the cruelest thing. And of course, Emily's his little pit bull, and Emily starts, popping off to the bullies. And she's just like, that's so fucking mean, y'all. Like, that's really fucked up. Why would you say that to Billy? He can't talk. And they're just awful to him. And they throw snowballs, and it's just your typical 90s movie bullying instance, So as Grandpa gets the truck going and they head home, they drop Emily off and they head home, just Billy and Grandpa, because that's kind of the only family that each other has. We'll learn about that later. We cut to Aunt Agnes in the city. And Aunt Agnes is a tall, blonde, mature woman, probably in her 50s. She's rich. And she is Billy's dad's sister. Yeah, she's Billy's dad's sister. So that's how they're related. But she has everything ready she has everything for Christmas but a kid. She's got the candy, she's got the food, she's got the tree, she's got the tinsel, but something's missing that money can't buy. Kind of. A child. And so she remembers, oh, I have a nephew I can go pick up and take. And then I'll have a perfect, aesthetically pleasing Christmas. Again, remember, this is all Christmas Eve. And so Billy is put to bed by his grandfather. His grandpa goes to his room with Ears, and he pulls out a music box. And this is where I first cried. Because we learn that Billy's parents were killed in a barn fire. It does not really state explicitly. It just cuts to he's holding this music box. He's talking to Ears, little basset hound, and he's remembering his daughter, and he's wishing that Billy could talk again. That's his Christmas wish, is I wish Billy could talk again. They've tried everything, doctors, everything. And he kind of just is tearing up, and he's crying because he's remembering the day he lost Hello, his daughter. And we cut to a scene of the barn is on fire. All of the animals are running out, and the grandfather is running out with Billy in his arms. So we kind of put together that from the smoke inhalation, that is why Billy is mute. Billy also is terrified of said barn. He does not go in it because of the trauma. And Billy lost his parents in that fire. And I was crying because this is not only a movie about a boy and his pet cow, but it's also like a movie about a father who lost his daughter and is raising his grandson alone. And he's old, and it's just really sad. Again, we cut back to the animals. They're having a great old time on Christmas Eve, just chit-chatting and talking. You know, Annabelle's showing her little personality. She's an inquisitive, talkative little cow. Very cute. We wake up on Christmas morning. Aunt Agnes shows up in her pink Cadillac. And Grandpa's like, why the hell are you here, girl? Because she hasn't shown up to anything ever. And she's like, oh my God, I had to see my little Billy. Billy, tell me about yourself. And everybody's looking awkward because Billy is mute. And then she's like, oh yeah, how's school? Never mind. I brought you all these toys. Now, I will say, I hate when movies do the city people bad, country people good. City stuff bad, country stuff good. City living bad, country life good. Okay? It's so fucking stupid. Okay? I hate that shit. I know Hallmark does that shit and it drives me crazy because that's what this movie does. It's my only complaint is they paint Aunt Agnes to be a bitch because she's from the city and not a bitch just because she's a bitch. You know? Because she gives them all these toys and the grandpa's like, well, he don't need all those highfalutin toys. Billy goes outside because Aunt Agnes and Grandpa are, you know, yelling at each other, fighting and bitching about toys and country life versus city life because Aunt Agnes is saying that she wants custody of Billy. She wants custody of Billy. And Grandpa says, you gave up custody when your brother died, along with my daughter. And she says, I know, but I changed my mind. And he's like, that's not how this works. And as they are bickering with each other, again, Billy walks outside and he sees Annabelle sitting there pretty as a present with a little bow around her neck. Oh, and he is thrilled. Nothing is better than a cute little calf. However, do not buy a fucking calf for your children as a present. That is the worst present. And if you go to my horse girl video, I tell you a story of just how it's work. Don't buy pets for your freaking kids. If there's anything you can take from this friggin' video is please do not buy a calf for your child for any gift. Because that is round the clock care, okay? No 5-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old wants to go feed a bottle-fed calf 100 times a day at 5 o'clock in the morning, rain, sleet, or snow. And then what do you do when you're done with, like when it's not a calf anymore? You got this big ass cow that needs food and vet bills and they knock down fences. Like, do not buy. I know this movie is pro calf at Christmas propaganda. I'm here to tell you, don't you dare. No. Billy, of course, is playing with Annabelle. Annabelle, being a baby, just starts talking. She doesn't get it. You can't talk to the humans, girl. Santa's gonna get mad. And I think what happens is he sneezes and she says, bless you. And everybody's like, and Billy's like, oh my God, this cow just talked. But she freaks out for a second, but then she realizes, well, Billy can't tell anyone. So our secret's safe with the mute kid. Like she literally like, well, Billy can't talk, so it's fine. And you're kind of like, I mean, it's true, but it's like, okay. As Billy and Annabelle are playing and frolicking on Christmas Day, Annabelle runs into the barn, and without thinking, Billy runs in there with her. And Agnes and Grandpa are both like, oh my God, Billy's in the barn. Again, remember, traumatized from the barn fire, hasn't stepped foot in that barn. But with Annabelle, he's not thinking about it. But he does when he gets in the barn, he realizes where he is. And he kind of starts having a panic attack. But Annabelle is there as his little emotional support cow. And he's okay. And he's fine. And he's laughing and playing with her. And Grandpa's like, oh my God, it's a Christmas miracle. Billy went back in the barn where his parents died. I don't know why that barn, I don't know. We'll get into that because Aunt Agnes freaks out and brings up, as a kid, I thought it had no ground whatsoever. But as an adult, she kind of has a point. Okay. She brings up the fact that this elderly man is alone, doesn't make a lot of money, alone on a farm with a mute grandchild. There is a barn where his parents died that is very traumatic for him. It's on paper. On paper, you have a mute child with an elderly caregiver on a big farm where a barn fire occurred that literally killed his parents. You know, it's very dangerous. There's a lot of danger not being taken into account. And I think a lot of people from another generation don't acknowledge it. You know, there's like, he needs the fresh air and all that stuff. And it's like, I don't know. He wakes up every day and sees the barn that his parents like died in. And he's on a farm where a lot of dangerous things could happen. And he has to rely on an old man to come help him. What if something happens to Grandpa? And then they're also in Tennessee. And at this time, Tennessee did not have a huge handicap awareness. I don't know. It's just on paper, I understand where Aunt Agnes is coming from. Now, I know her motivation is really stupid and fucked up, but her argument is sound. Okay? It is sound. She is telling Grandpa, I am going to get custody of Billy. This is so crazy. He needs doctors. He needs to go to a very good school that will, you know, understand his mute disability. He needs to be in the city. I have money to take care of him. You don't. He'll have more opportunities with me in the city. And Grandpa's like, he's fine. He's got Annabelle. And she's just like, he doesn't need a bovine. He needs doctors. He doesn't need a cow. He needs help. He needs to be taught sign language. Again, she has a point. But we're rooting for Grandpa. Okay, we're not rooting for Aunt Agnes. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, Billy is the concern here. I think they should have worked together for the best of Billy instead of fighting each other. Anyways, Annabelle and Billy are playing. Annabelle tells him, I want to be a reindeer, you know? And so Billy gets her 2 big sticks and puts them on her head. And she has little antlers like on the cover. Emily's crazy self comes over and she's like, what are you doing, Bill? Like, Emily has so much energy. Probably why her and Billy hit it off is because he can't tell her, Emily, chill the fuck out. But she has so much energy and she's so assertive and talks so much. Honestly, could be me. I'm sitting here, you know, hating on her. Probably me. And she's like, oh my God, a new calf on Christmas. That's crazy, Billy. What's her name? What does she do? Where did you get her? And she has a sleigh. And so they decide to play Santa Claus and elves, and Annabelle is the little reindeer, and they go and pretend to like drop off gifts. It's so cute. However, as they are playing reindeer and Santa Claus, they get a little too fast on that sled and it gets a little out of control. Emily falls off, and so it's Billy, Ears, the dog, and Annabelle swooshing down this hill, and they crash into Jim Varney, who plays Gus, his fence. And if you live in the South, don't fuck with fences. Property lines are people's whole lives. And now Gus is the father to those asshole kids from earlier that were like, hey, Billy, sing Silent Night. So he's their dad. So you know this is going to be shit. I'm going to call him Jim Varney. Gus shows up, sees Billy and his calf, and is like, you messed up my property line, boy. And Billy can't talk. So he's just like, what do I do? Gus wonders how Grandpa can afford this calf. Because again, livestock cost a lot of money. You'll hear me say it almost every video. Cottagecore farm TikTok is all lies. It is so much money. And it's all money that is just to absolute bullshit. Like I said, you're mending things, you're fixing things, you're doing vet bills, you're doing feed, you're doing so much work. And it's just a money pit. Gus asks himself, how does Grandpa afford this calf? Because I know he ain't got money. And that's a good looking calf. That's not the last we will see of Gus as he is scheming on how to get Annabelle. Annabelle's mom explains to Annabelle that Billy cannot talk. You know, because Annabelle's just like, he's real quiet. And Star, who is Annabelle's mom, explains that Billy can't talk. And Annabelle and Billy, you know, they're talking in their own way, if you will. And Annabelle says that I want to fly over the moon. That is her biggest wish. And Star, Annabelle's mom, and Ears the dog are they're the elders of the farm community here. And so they're kind of talking about Annabelle's wish. She wants to fly like the reindeer. Her mom's worried. She's like, oh, it's going to break her heart if she, you know, when she realizes that she's a cow. And Ears is like, oh, that's okay. I used to want to be Lassie and Old Yeller. Well, maybe not Old Yeller, but I wanted to be a famous dog too. And, you know, he's like, oh, she'll grow up one day. We have a music montage of Annabelle looking up at the sky and picturing herself with her little antlers flying literally over the moon, through the stars, through the Tennessee landscape, as Alison Krauss sings us a beautiful bluegrass hymn. The next day, Gus brings the sheriff, who is voiced by Mr. Tom, what is his name? Something Clancy. He voices Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. He's the voice of the sheriff. Again, star-studded cast. Brings up the issue of the broken fence, and the sheriff's hands are tied. And he's like, you have to pay for the fence, Grandpa. And the grandpa's like, well, we don't have a lot of money, but I'll fix it. The grandpa, he's like, I'll fix the fence. I can't pay to have it fixed, but I'll fix it. You know I'm good for it. And Gus is like, I want that calf. And he takes Annabelle, and the sheriff's like, I can't do anything. Ugh. And of course, I cried a little bit because Star, Annabelle's mom, starts crying. I'm tearing up right now. Starts mooing for her baby and crying, and Billy's holding her, and they're both upset because Annabelle is being dragged away by them mean-ass fucking little kids. And Annabelle's upset and mooing. And the sheriff tells Grandpa, if you can get the money in 24 hours to fix that fence, I will go get that calf back. And you're like, why 24 hours? What does that have to do with it? But again, I don't know. And the sheriff, I think, does say, like, if I had the money, I would pay for it for you, Grandpa. Like, he's not being a dick on purpose, but his hands are kind of tied because he has to be the law. He has to be neutral here. And so he's like, I'd pay for it if I could. You know that, Grandpa. Grandpa's like, I know. He's like, I just don't know how we're going to get that money. I have to get Annabelle back for Billy. And so Grandpa that night is again on his bed, and I'm going to cry again because he is holding that music box. It is the only thing he has of his daughter, Billy's mother, left. And he talks to Ears, and he says, well, I hate to hold on to just old things, and Billy needs Annabelle. So he takes the music box, tears in his eyes. He's crying. I'm crying. He takes the music box and pawns it to get the money to go get Annabelle back. And so the sheriff brings Annabelle back. Sorry, this is how we're going to cry because it's just going to be sad shit happening. It gets better, don't worry. But he does pawn his daughter's music box to get Annabelle for his grandson. And again, this movie is about a boy and his cow, but it is also about a father who lost his daughter. And he is being a single parent trying to raise that little baby. Annabelle is back. Randy Travis plays. And we get a montage of Annabelle, Emily, and Billy playing through the seasons. You know, it's spring. Annabelle's sniffing flowers. It's summertime. They're playing in a lake. They're cutting jack-o'-lanterns. Oh, and real quick, Annabelle can't talk after Christmas. Like, again, it's just a Christmas wish that she can talk. But they're still having a good time. Like, Emily's doing enough talking for the both of them, honestly. And I imagine for a young mute child in the countryside where there's not a lot of, like, deaf mute communities for him to interact with, animals are probably what you're going to lean towards. And I cried because he's in the barn with her. And I know if, again, y'all listen to my horse girl video, he's reading a little cow story, the cow jumped over the moon story, to Annabelle in the barn. Understand, I read to my animals when I was little too, and I was like, I get you, Billy, I get you. A year has passed. We are right back to winter. Those fucking bullies are bullying. I don't know. Like, they just don't let up. Like, go find something to do. And they're bullying. And Annabelle just can't take it. She's just like, I'm done with these kids. And she headbutts them. And you're just like, oh, Annabelle, don't do that. Because these little kids are fucking narcs. And of course they go and tattle to their daddy. And they do that bullshit of just like, we was just sitting there minding our own business. And that cow is dangerous, Paul. She just came out of nowhere and headbutted us. And so Gus, their daddy, calls the sheriff over. And luckily, the bus driver was there. And the sheriff's like, now the bus driver was there, Gus. And that is not what happened. And we need to talk about these little kids you raising. And so he kind of tells Gus off about his little kids. He's like, your kids are bullies. Nobody likes them. They are a town menace. Okay? And Gus says, you know, I'll handle my boys. Y'all go up to your rooms. I'm ashamed of y'all. Like, Gus is not a bad guy. We learn. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. The sheriff then explains to Gus how Grandpa paid for that fence. He's like, do you know how Billy's grandfather paid for your fence? He sold the music box, the only possession of his passed away daughter, so that Billy could have that calf that you wanted back. That is the sacrifice he made. And the sheriff says, I want you to think about that, Gus, because I know you know what it's like to lose a loved one. And Gus has a very sad moment because we get the feeling that he lost his wife. Obviously, he is a single father, raising these two kids terribly. Not doing a good job, but he's having a little Grinch moment. He's like, you know what? I have let my heart become hard and sour and tough because I don't have my wife, and I'm raising my sons in the same way, and we can't do that. I'm not going to do that. We cut to Aunt Agnes is in the city, and her lawyer found the craziest loophole for her to get custody of Billy. She can get custody of Billy if he stays mute, which is wild. To which I'm like, okay, he's mute, but like he can write. He can learn a little sign language. He's not completely without options of communication. Because in this movie, they act like he's mute. No one knows what Billy is thinking or doing, ever, except Emily. Emily's the only person that can like read Billy's mind and understand what he's wanting to say. And I'm like, he can write down, I don't want to live with Aunt Agnes, and send it to a judge. Because that's kind of what the judge is pulling at, is like, unless Billy can tell me he doesn't want to live with you, you can get custody, which is crazy. But I just have a feeling that Aunt Agnes's lawyer really waxed on about the environment that Billy is raised in. Like I said before, on paper, I could see it. Aunt Agnes shows up, says, I have papers. I'm taking Billy with me. And it's, again, Christmas Eve. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to take Billy with me. Pack your bags, Billy. Unless he can tell me he does not want to go verbally, he's coming with me. And the grandpa starts tearing up and he says, Agnes, we're all each other has. Ooh, I'm going to cry. He says, we're all each other has. She's like, I don't fucking care. The animals are trying to stall Agnes, obviously, and they push her pink Cadillac in a frozen lake. And she's, of course, she says my favorite. She's like, my automobile. Cloris Leachman, my automobile. And she's like, call a tow truck. You will not stop me. To which I'm kind of like, I don't know if a tow truck, your car is submerged in a frozen lake, girl. That's going to be, you just need to get a whole ass new car. But she says get a tow truck. Luckily, it's Christmas Eve, and Grandpa's like, good luck finding one. You're going to have to wait one day. Okay? One day. It is now Christmas Eve night. Santa shows up, and he's like, hey, animals, y'all ready to get the gift of gab again? And he goes to Annabelle, and he's like, oh, Annabelle, you're so fucking cute. My little Christmas present. Are you ready to talk? And Annabelle's like, I have a wish, Santa. He's like, what's your wish, girl? And she whispers in his ear. And all the animals are looking at each other like, Annabelle's gonna fly. It is Christmas Day, and Billy and Grandpa and Agnes are at the tree. Grandpa and Agnes are still fighting over Billy. Billy opens a strange gift that's on the ground, and it says, "Open me." And he opens it, and it's empty. And Grandpa's like, "What was in that?" And Billy's like, "I don't know. It was empty." Y'all, I'm gonna cry. Annabelle wished for Santa to give her gift of speech permanently to Billy for Christmas. She will never get to talk again, not even on Christmas, so that Billy can speak. I was sobbing in my living room when this happened. I was crying. Oh my God, you think Annabelle's wish is going to be to fly? And it's to let Billy talk so he can stay. Because he, of course, immediately is like, "I love my grandpa. I ain't going with you." Oh, have a moment. Get a tissue. Oh, we're crying in the Cracker Barrel. We're crying in the Cracker Barrel. And Aunt Agnes is like, "What did you say?" And the grandpa's like, "He said." Oh, Grandpa is crying. He is absolutely elated that Billy can talk and he gets to keep custody. Like, he's just like, "Oh, it's a Christmas miracle." Billy runs to Annabelle to tell her the good news. And she can't talk. He's like, "Why?" And he looks at the other animals because he knows they can talk. And he's like, "Why can't she talk?" And that's when Star says, "Annabelle gave her wish to you, Billy." Oh, she gave up her Christmas voice forever so that you can have yours. To which a little part of me is like, wow, Santa couldn't just do that for Grandpa anyways. Like, Grandpa's been crying every night for Billy to talk. No one heard Grandpa's tears? Okay. But it's a kid's movie based on a cow. Gus shows up with his sons, and they're all dressed up, and they look like Laurel and Hardy, like their little bowler hats and their bow ties and suspenders. And Gus is like, "I haven't been right to you." I think what is Grandpa's name? Grandpa's name's like Charles or something. But anyways, he's like, "I haven't been right to you. I've been cruel because of my loss, and I haven't even thought about yours. You know, we have more in common than we think." And he gives the music box back to Grandpa and says, "Merry Christmas." And then Aunt Agnes comes out the door. And Gus is like, "Oh, boys, take off your hats. There's a lady in our presence." And Aunt Agnes is like, oh, well, oh, my. And she invites Gus and the boys to Christmas dinner. She's like, "Well, I wasn't, I don't have to leave right now. I was going to stay for a little bit. My car is having some trouble. Y'all should come to Christmas dinner." And this is when Randy Travis has been narrating this movie the whole time. And that's when he says, Aunt Agnes went on to marry Gus. And those two boys, I forget their name, Buck and Bill or whatever, had her as a stepmom. He said, "So I think that was punishment enough for what they did to me growing up." And this is when we get the reveal that Randy Travis is Billy. This is his story. And so we time jump now. Billy, aka Randy Travis, is a grown man. Him and Emily have gotten married. They own the farm. I'm going to tell y'all, grab your tissues. Because if y'all weren't crying enough. And it's Christmas Eve. Billy says, "I'm going to go out and see the animals." And Emily's like, "Billy, you act as if those animals can talk." He goes out to see the animals on Christmas Eve. Annabelle is old. This is probably her last Christmas. She's very old. She's very tired, but she lifts her weary head, looks at Billy with those big brown eyes, and he pulls out the antlers that they played with as kids, and he puts them on her. Oh, I'm going to cry. Cry with me. He puts them on her, and he's like, "Remember, when we would play reindeers growing up, Annabelle?" She looks at him, and it's a sweet moment. And he's like, "Merry Christmas, Annabelle. I love you." He goes off to bed. And Annabelle, she gets up on Christmas Eve, and she's kind of, imagine doing what a cat does. She knows it's her time. So she gets up and she starts walking to that frozen lake. I keep thinking Randy Travis. Billy hears her mooing, and he gets up and he's like, something's wrong with Annabelle. I need to go check on her. You stay here, Emily. I'm going to go check on her. And he's out there in his jammies and his big jacket. Everybody that lives on a farm has had to do that. And he's calling for her, Annabelle, Annabelle. And she's walking away from him with a really sad look on her eyes. She doesn't want him to be around when she dies, And she falls, and she's old, and she can't get up. Oh, okay, Montana, get through this. She's laying in the snow with those antlers on her head. She takes a big, deep breath. She's so tired. And in her blurriness of in and out, fading in and out, Santa kneels down and says, Annabelle, I've been looking all over for you. And he says, I never forgot what you did for Billy all those years ago. But someone has a Christmas wish for you, Annabelle. I can't get through it, y'all. And we look, and Billy is smiling at Santa. And Santa whispers in Annabelle's ear, are you ready to fly? And he ties a bow around her neck. And he says, you're as pretty as a present, like the day I met you. And Christmas magic occurs. And Annabelle walks to the frozen lake. And she looks at her reflection. And she's a reindeer. And she can talk. And she says, I can talk. I have my voice back. And Santa hitches her up to his sleigh. You ready to go? She says, yes, I am, Santa. And she starts flying. And she does a few loops. And she says, look at me, Billy. I'm flying. And he waves and he says, Merry Christmas, Annabelle. And I am just, if you couldn't tell from me right now, imagine me in my living room last night, just a concerning amount of sobbing. This movie is so sweet. Oh my God. Like I said, you have to watch it. You have to watch it because when he puts that bow around her neck, it says, are you ready to fly? And then Randy Travis is like, Merry Christmas, Annabelle. And she flies off and she's a young reindeer. It's too much. I love this movie. Again, I was like, is this my life? Like, did this affect my life more than it did? Because I have little brown cows. I have a basset hound. I live on a tiny little farm. Like, is this my life? I'm just kidding. But this movie is so sweet. Like I said, it's real short. It's not a Disney movie. You're not going to be like emotionally disturbed, but it's just, oh God, is it sweet. It's such a sweet little movie. Without further ado, I would like to go and introduce y'all to my little cows, my little Annabelles, and do a little quick guest star. I know y'all met Evangeline in one of my videos, my snake. Let's go meet my cows. Okay, guys. Hi. This is Sopapia, and she is a Jersey cow. She's a mulberry colored Jersey cow, so she's a hi. You're a chocolate milk maker, if you will. I'm just kidding. Brown cows don't make chocolate milk. You'd be surprised how many people do think that. She's one of them. I will introduce you to the other one in a minute. But Sophie here, she's a hot mess. She's very moody and temperamental. Yesterday I did try filming and she was so ornery and mean. It actually proved a little dangerous because she has these nice little horns that she doesn't understand. Okay, so we made the mistake of raising these cattle a little too friendly, and they don't understand how big they are and that they have really nasty horns. And so yesterday she was trying to be mean like she was when she was a calf, and it can actually be pretty dangerous with those horns. So I had to just leave her alone, which is fine. It's not her fault. She just wasn't in the mood. She wasn't in the mood. And today she has had a lot of hay. Hi. Mwah. Cow kisses. She's had a lot of hay for breakfast. She's getting brushed right now. So she's in a really good mood. Her sister, on the other hand, we'll see. Now, a lot of people ask, do we milk these cows? We do not. Jersey cows are a breed of dairy cow. Here, let me flip the camera so you're not like just looking at me. Okay, there's Sopapilla. Soapy for short. Oh, anyways, we do not milk. Hi. We do not milk these cattle. So milking cows, you want to see your teeth? Milking cows is a very expensive and lucrative endeavor. It's actually extremely dangerous unless you're a professional dairy farmer. Here, let's go look at her sister Benny. Yeah, let's go meet Benny while we talk about dairy cows. Huh, Sophie? Huh? So, dairy cows, you have to obviously inseminate them in some way, shape, or form, whether that be with a bull or a turkey baster, if you will. I'm kidding, not really a turkey baster, but you get the meaning of artificial. Here's Benny. Hi, Benny. Pregnancies for animals are just as dangerous for people, and I just don't want to put my girls through it because it would be a life and death situation. Again, I'm not a professional dairy farmer, so I would have to like learn on the fly how to handle that, and I just don't want to put my girls through that. Also, after they have said baby, you have to milk them round the clock because we have obviously bred dairy cattle to produce more milk than a calf needs. And so one calf cannot use up all the milk that one of these girls could produce. So it would be up to me and my family to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, rain, sleet, or snow, and milk these girls to relieve them of that pressure because they can die if they are not milked. And we wouldn't want that. Dairy cattle can die if they are not milked properly. Again, they can suffer from not only milk fever, which is when they cannot release it, but also tumors and masts in their udders. It's just a really delicate procedure that is best left to professionals. There's no amount of Googling and calling the vet that I can do to put these girls through that danger. Now you're asking, why did I buy them if I wasn't gonna milk them? And that's because I am insane and I wanted to cows. We bought this land with every penny we had and no pennies left to have a tractor to mow it down. And so these are essentially our lawn crew, if you will. They're hanging out here by this burn pile, so please don't think I just keep a pile of wood in our pasture. They just like to dig through it for some reason. I don't know why. You can see Taff, our goat. That's Taffy. Really, Soapy? Really? You're just gonna just go through the burn pile. Knock yourself out, girl. Don't worry, there's no nails and stuff. We don't throw literally everything in that burn pile. It's just wood because of this reason right here. Give Benny some love. Ooh, you got bedhead, girl. They got their winter coats, so they're really fuzzy. Hi, Benny. That's Beignet. She's very pretty. Hi, Taff. You can get some airtime too. Hi, Taff. We don't milk them. We just have them because I always wanted. I've had literally every animal except a cow, and now I can knock off cow off my resume. However, if I can say anything, we destroyed our kid's bunk bed recently, and she's been really interested in the bunk bed wood. Anyways, she's using it as a scratching post. But if there's anything I can say about these is I see around Easter and the holidays, like I mentioned before, baby calf propaganda of you should have a bottle-fed calf. And if you go listen to my horse girl video, you will see how extremely tough that is. It's super cute for about 30 minutes, but then you do have to raise a whole ass baby animal. Dairy cattle are bred to not really have the perseverance and strength and will to live, if that means anything. So beef cattle, you can put them out in the wild, essentially. They'll plop babies and the babies will thrive. Dairy cattle, however, they just don't have a big push like beef cattle do. As my vet delicately put it, they don't have the will to live. If they are met with sickness, they will just straight up die. Girls, really? not the time. They like to fight. But anyways. And so these two girls were very sickly when they were babies, as all baby calves are, because they cannot get vaccinated unless they are above a certain weight. And it was just really difficult because they did not want to eat. They did not want to take medicine. I was giving them round-the-clock medicine, shots by myself, feeding them. I was in the barn, sobbing, pumping their stomachs by myself with a tube down their throats, praying to every bovine goddess I could think of. Luckily, thoughts and prayers and hard labor worked, and we have two giant, beautiful cows. But I just don't recommend it for people who are not super well acquainted with livestock. Luckily, despite me not being well versed in cattle necessarily, I do know my way around hoof stock, and so I did have more knowledge than your average, you know, pet owner, if you will. But still, it was very scary for me. I can only imagine if someone decided to take up livestock off the cuff without really knowing what they were doing and being raised in that kind of culture. Another regret of mine is keeping their horns on, because see, I didn't know. Hi girl, she's got this wart on her eye and it's fine, it's benign. We checked it out, but it still concerns me. But anyways, we kept these horns on them because I didn't know the coyote situation when we moved out here, and I just hated to leave them without any protection. And now I know coyotes don't really hang out around here, and so now we just have this huge problem because, like I said, they love to rub up on us, and these things prove to be very dangerous. Not their fault, truly us. They don't really know that they have them on. But yeah, those are my two Jersey cows, Sopapia and Beignet. Soapy and Benny. They're moody, they're silly, they don't even know they're cows at this point. We have raised them so affectionately and so hands-on. These two wouldn't know a bad day to be a cow if it hit them in the hoof. Would y'all? Y'all are spoilt little brats. Spoilt. Y'all have heating and air and breakfast and dinner and all of this land and pets, and they get baths. I mean, truly, y'all too. Spoilt rotten. Oh, Benny. Benny really loves my husband. She's kind of indifferent to me. She doesn't really give a shit. If my husband was out here, she'd be super happy. Excuse my no makeup bedhead face. But yeah, those are my two cows. I love them dearly. I don't want any more. 2 is enough. 2 is a lot of money and time and effort, and I'm happy I have them, but again, I don't really recommend cattle to those who are just like not super well versed in this kind of lifestyle, if you know what I mean. Bless you, Janora. That's my dog, Janora. Again, I'm not trying to discourage people from loving cattle and like wanting to take it on. It's just, I know Annabelle is so cute and so sweet, but like I pointed out, they are very expensive. They are very dangerous if you have like a small child that's like unacquainted with it. I don't even let my kids who have grown up with these girls out there by themselves unsupervised, because again, they're so moody and they have those horns. I really respect the dairy farmers that do it correctly and do it humanely and do it right. Those animals are super well taken care of. And that's why I do not milk those cattle, because I could not do it. I don't have the education or the amenities to milk those cows. And I'm not going to do it, because I know cottagecore and homesteading TikToks will sit there and just be like, oh my God, it's so fucking cold. Anyways, but they'll sit there and be like, oh, you should just get a dairy cow and you'll have fresh milk. And it's like, girl, that is so dangerous for so many reasons and so expensive. If there's one thing I can say about like homesteading, and when I had a TikTok, this is what really I used it for, was to show the realities of homesteading and just having any farm whatsoever, is how expensive and how much work and how stressful it is. Not negating taking on that kind of lifestyle by any means. I just think that it is definitely something you need to really research before you get into. Luckily, like I said, me and my husband, we grew up this way, and it's kind of the only way we know. I would love to be a city girl. I know a lot of movies, like I said, sit there and paint the city as terrible. New York City is one of my favorite places in the world. I tell my kids all the time, one of y'all is going to inherit this piece of shit land, this money pit, and I'm going to go live in a walkable city, okay? I'm going to go live in a walkable city where I don't have to pick up poop, and I don't have to like take care of anything but myself. But anyways, back to me in my warm, cozy room. Thank y'all so much. I hope y'all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all of that stuff. Okay? I will see y'all in the new year I have some great historical romances coming up. I've ordered them. They're coming on Santa's sleigh. Annabelle's going to drop them off. You know? I'm so excited for the new year. We will get back to our regular programming, but I have to spread the news of Annabelle's Wish. I'm sorry. So many people don't know this movie, and now it's $1 on Amazon. Go watch it with your Cracker Barrel. Okay, I'm done. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. I will see y'all all in 2025.